Welcome to the Old World Fanatics, your Warhammer Fantasy podcast to quench that hobby thirst for all things the old world. I'm one of your hosts, Gomo, and I'm joined by Andrew and Josh as usual. How's everyone today?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Gomer.
Not bad at all.
Not bad.
Looking forward to a good chat tonight.
Are you guys just
I
been
must-
like, oh, did you guys get stuff? I know Andrew maybe was waiting on a rulebook, but
I got the Forces Fantasy, but waiting on the rulebook. Yeah.
right, okay, cool. And Josh's stuff is
It's
in the mail.
here.
Oh, it's here. Oh, he
It's
got
here,
it.
guys.
You didn't tell us that in the thing, did
I
you?
kept it secret.
Oh, keep it secret, keep it safe. Oh, I love it. Did that
keep
come
it safe.
today, did it? Like literally?
Yeah.
What's Monday?
Just,
Must have-
just a few
yeah.
hours ago, really. So
Ooh.
the
Awesome.
3 books could come
Cool.
through. Very exciting.
So which one
Very
did you get? You
exciting.
got the Forces of Fantasy, the Arcane Journal, and the rulebook.
Yeah, and I got Ravening Hordes as well.
Oh, okay.
Just because I wanted, I wanted
cool.
it all. Because
Yeah.
that's the thing. That's a tempting thing about it, isn't it? It's like I would never buy other army rule books unless I have the army, but for some reason, when it's a compilation,
It's
just might as well buy it, right? Like
so much easier to know everyone else's army. Like I've never bought all the army books. I probably would if they brought them out now, but back then I wouldn't have because I wouldn't have had the money. And so you always feel like you don't know the other armies as much. So hopefully this is going to help.
Yeah, for sure.
The Arcane, I was saying this on one of the other videos somewhere, like the Arcane Journals are so thin, like that I'll probably just buy them all for sure. But
Yeah, they are.
they are quite tiny, but they are good quality, but they're just, they're small enough that I feel like you just go, yeah, I'll buy it, so.
You could do. I haven't got the Tomb King one. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that would really depend on the army. I reckon.
Yeah. You don't have to. This is the thing.
I might still buy for even armies I don't own if I sort of like the army or something. If I feel like maybe Gomo style, I'll be like, maybe I will paint that army one day. I'll just buy it now.
That's right.
Just in case.
You got no excuse. You can just dig it
Gomo
out of the
style.
closet. Find it, a little bit. It comes in. I haven't spent money on the hobby for like 8 years, so it's just catching up.
You got a lot of catching up to do. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Cool. Yeah. Well, it's funny. We were chatting. What are we going to talk about today? And I think there's probably a little bit of hobby, some shout outs, news, stuff like that. But then it was, I don't know. We were just we've had those games, and then we've been consuming a lot of. We obviously have got some of the books, been reading them, and then just listening and talking to other people, and going, well, there's a few, I don't know, rule stuff that would be interesting to walk through that we're either confused about or we're seeing confusion. And then there's some other topics we'll get into maybe after that. I know, Josh, you had some things around some scenario-based stuff, but if we get to that, we get to it. If not, we'll probably just chat these rule things and stuff. So I thought that'd be pretty cool.
Yep.
Yeah. So first things first, we will do our shout out to our Patreons, if that's cool. Oh, hang on. Now we've got another one. Sorry, that's awesome. Someone joined.
What?
It's a free member joined. Was that you, Josh? Maybe you joined. Josh123 at Fastmail. Is that you?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay.
I'm trying to access the comments because I can't access the
it's
account.
so annoying. I might just upgrade it. Sorry, I don't know, for
Good
people
job,
who run
Josh.
Patreon.
Thanks, guys.
If you got if you got the cheap plan, it's just your own.
So of course, I just turn up in the.
Okay. Well, we thank Josh. Thanks, Josh. We got Gilthos. So Gilthos has been he's been following us for ages. So that's awesome, mate. Thanks for coming on board with the patron stuff. He's actually, well, we'll get into this actually. He challenged. I don't know if it was a challenge, but he left a comment on YouTube today, which I came back with, trying to do what he asked. So we didn't ask, but I'll get to that later. Julian, Diesel, Cameron, Atkinson, Richard, William, Robert, Stiff Pants Noodleham. Is that another one again? Was that the one we talked about last week? I can't remember. Andrew
I feel like it's
McAllister.
Equally ridiculous, but slightly different name.
Yeah. Andrew McAllister, Gunwich, Sean, Todd, and Chapstick, which is our original OG, Jared. But I did see he changed his name. See, this is the thing, because your Patreons connect. So if you start going to another, if that's your personal one, and if you rename it, it renames them on all the ones your Patreons of. So that's the people just probably change their profile, and it's like, oh god, who's that person again?
That's confusing.
But that's all cool. So thanks, guys. Thanks so much for that. It does help. And then just with that, just in terms of numbers, I know I did a bit of a spruce last week for our YouTube stuff. I've been trying to put some more content out. But big thanks for all you people who have, because we haven't yet, but I think we will hit 900 subscribers. We're trying to get to 1,000, which hopefully that will happen sooner rather than later. And the podcast, I was going to say the podcast hit 10,000 downloads, but it already hit 11,000 before. Yeah. So somehow it jumped 1,000 over the last week. So I was like, oh God, that's quick. So, yeah, that's awesome. I think everyone's just loving old world content, and if they enjoy listening to us, we'll keep putting it out. I guess we'll put it out anyway. But
well, you're not going to stop us. We're going to be putting it out regardless of who's listening or not.
yeah. So awesome. And we also like one of our patrons, Sean. Big thanks to him. He came on and helped us with our High Elf review on Friday or Saturday, whichever time zone it came out on. So it was cool. So if you are either a Patreon or just a YouTube or podcast subscriber, and you want to get in contact to do any of these faction reviews, hit us up. Always happy to get other people on, and just it's more ideas for us. So love it.
Yeah, cool. That was a really good review as well. If anyone hasn't seen it, get on Sean's. Is really spent quite a bit of time and really in depth. It's really good.
Yeah, I learned some stuff. So I did see Mountain Miniatures were having a bit of a debate. I think it was yesterday about the Loth and Seaguard and whether or not they're actually useful, because like that whole redress ranks after they stand and shoot stuff. And he's of the opinion they are not waste of time, because in reality you don't want to. You actually, he made a good point, which I haven't done the maths, but he's like, most people are thinking with this, you go wide, you get charged, you redress ranks to get ranks. But he's like, but why would you do that when you stay wide and get more attacks anyway? So, so it is an interesting. I was like, oh yeah, maybe there is some. So anyway, he's like, if you need ranks, get spearmen. So I'm like, okay, he's played more games than us, but who knows?
Yeah,
this is the fun stuff.
This is interesting, isn't it? Because the way Nick Gentile was going on about Loth and Seaguard to me last week, because he brought a big block of them, and he loves the idea of them, and he thinks they're much more viable now, just because they're not as expensive as they used to be.
Yeah,
because he feels like there are a block of spearmen you can push forward, but because they exhibit a threat range as well, they force people to deal with that as well. Whereas a block of spearmen aren't really. Yeah, you can just you're not reaching out as much.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm assuming most units are pretty good if controlled by someone who knows what they're doing, which is that's the thing. So I think they are. It's probably just that points limit with them as well. Like they have come down, so now they're useful. Are they 1 point or 2 points more than maybe they should be? Who knows? They might. I don't know. We'll see what the lists. Yeah. Cool. That's sorry. You can say.
Yeah, I was going to say the special rule they have. I agree that I'm not sure how useful it necessarily is in practice. But I think that just the unit cost and equipment is still worth it, I would say.
And multifaceted core troop. They're core, aren't they? Like it means you're not having to spend money on two things. So because you're going Hero Hammer, so you've already used 1,000 points. Of
on a dragon,
your army. Cool. So I don't think. There's no news. No, there hasn't been pre-orders. There haven't been any Games Workshop old world news as far as
there's been no new articles. Actually, 27th of Jan, I think was the last one. The pre-order
was it?
I think it's the last one on the old community.
It'll cut. We can take a deep breath, I guess, and just catch up for a bit.
I think so.
I'm interested to see when the orcs are announced, because it just gives you that idea of what their cadence will be, and we don't know yet.
No. Yeah.
So, but like we discussed, was it 2 weeks ago? We're still waiting on Bretonnia and Tomb King stuff.
I know.
That. So
all the new models, really, apart from the BSB on Pegasus, the Damsel and the Unicorn, which is really cool.
Yeah,
the Foot Knights,
you're right.
We haven't had that yet. There's a lot of
so it's that and the orcs. It's like they need to finish off what they've already said and then go to the next ones. Maybe that's a topic we probably will touch on, but it's just I think I think we talked about this on our hobby hangout last night a bit, Andrew. It's just like, how is this game? I feel like it's supported and they do love it because the rules are good. They've play tested it, but there's no, you can't, unless you're an old people like us, you're not getting into the game because you just can't get anything. So it's very interesting. So
yeah, absolutely. It's like they're selling all these rules and no miniatures. It's a very bizarre business move from the miniatures company.
The other way, I think I mentioned it last night, I was like, the other way to think about it is we get the it's responsibility might not be the right word, but like if we just accept it and go, right, okay, well, we're going to be the customers, we're going to make sure it works. So then they finally get through their 9 armies, it's all going. Then the people who are watching that will come in, and then by then everything is available. But to expect them, I think if you're looking at it from the point of view of, well, all these new players are trying to come in, it's like, well, they're not selling it to new players. I know there will be new players, and there has been, but that wasn't their market, and they probably recognize that, but we're probably catching up with that, going, okay, well, that's what it is. So
they probably had an intended scale of the release, and it's just blown that out of proportion. So possibly they might be going back and rethinking these future releases, because it's almost like, well, they don't have stock of everything in the first wave. And now they're going to be reprinting all this stock, creating new stock. And it's like, well, how are we even going to get these second lot of, miniatures out, or the second phase, not to mention the orcs coming out, when we can't even satisfy this first wave of stuff that's coming out.
It's just bizarre. Like, obviously I picked up my order from GW, and I guess this is sort of news because, we did actually buy our stock. I went there and got my stuff. It wasn't a big lineup or anything, but they basically only had, he said outside of the pre-orders, they got 2 of everything. I think there was more army boxes. I might be wrong there, and look, we're in Newcastle, so the Warhammer store is not huge, but they got 2 of all the books, so like, I mean,
that was it.
That was it. Like, that's GW, so you're like, is there just not that much, or are they're just acknowledging that, look, these stores are built for people coming off the street, throw the small Leviathan get started box in front of them. We're not selling old world, like, we're not here to sell old world, which they're not. Like, let's be real.
They're not.
When I've never gone in the Warhammer shop for, I can't remember when I went there last. I'll get it off online, or I'll go to Frontline Hobbies or whatever, And it's not because I just know they're not selling to me. I'm not their market, I go in there and, well, they don't have my game. Well, they do now, but they didn't. But even when they did have the game, I still wasn't their market, was I? Really? Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not a beginner, so.
Yeah.
You're buying plenty of minis.
They sell them. But those minis probably aren't in their shop anyway, because they're only selling like the set ones that sell really good all the time. So it's all cool. Anyway, I don't know if that was news, but it's definitely interesting. We did see you guys. Well, who wants to cover that Reddit thing? That looked cool. The legacy list.
Which Reddit? Oh, the covers.
Yeah,
those are cool, weren't they? Pretty excited about that. Maybe because I hadn't really considered about the whole idea of having legacy book. I don't know what you'd even call it. The idea of having it physically printed out, because they're never going to offer it for sale. As a book, so
you're never going to have to change it. Well, not unless they do an update at some point, but I doubt it. It's on Google Drive, isn't it? So you got to click.
No, they said that. They were very clear. They are not going to errata or update these lists in any way. So if you print these off, should be pretty safe that they are what they are forevermore. That's all of them. Nice. I hadn't seen the.
It probably doesn't do a good job of it. Sorry, on the mobile. Oh no, you can. Sorry, I can flick through here. It does work. Sorry, on the mobile it did. Yeah. So they got a couple of different covers. They got the demons. So we're just looking at so just for people listening and not if you're driving. Yeah. So on Reddit, we'll put the link in the show notes. There's someone's just done cool looking artwork for the legacy book, similar to the Arcane Journals. They've got 1 Chaos Dwarf, 1 Demons of Chaos. I think they've got 2 Dark Elf ones. So there's like the 8th edition Dark Elf, and I think there's an older one. Lizardmen, Ogres, Skaven. I think there's 2 Skaven. Yeah, so there's 2 Skaven, different covers, and different Vampire one. Now that's the 8th edition Vamp, isn't it?
Yeah. And
that's the
school.
old school one. That's the old school
fourth
5th
ed
ed,
one,
4th
isn't
ed
it?
vampire. I mean, undead book. Yeah.
Yes, back when it was undead and not vampire counts.
Yeah, that's right.
Before the great split happened.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So yeah, they look cool, and yeah, like Andrew did, you can print them on decent paper because they're going to last. So sort of interesting.
Yeah, well, I was thinking when I was printing it, I was gonna create a cover page, but it was just too much work. So I'm glad somebody else has done it because now I can go back in and get this copied, and I'll attach it to the front of my book.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah,
no, that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably not going to print them, but if someone ends up doing some kind of big group buy thing going on, where you get a professional bound book or something, I'd probably live on that, like the old War Master rule books as well.
We should ask because I know that guy. Yeah, okay. There's a guy who did the magic cards in our Warhammer Facebook group, Australia, Old World Australia, and it sounded like he was putting an order in for the magic cards. Like I didn't do that because I have them, cards. But would he do the same thing? Because he might. Because if he knows what he's doing, he might do an order for this. Someone could hit him up. I guess I should do that.
Yeah,
because that was the thing. So he's actually, when I was reading, I've actually added myself onto the wait list for those because I noticed that he's done the Legacy Army sort of signature spells as well.
Yeah,
was talking about that, which is not something the GW are offering.
Exactly. No, totally. Yeah.
Like the Legacy Army.
Yeah, so you're gonna have to print some magic cards. You're right, like because you're never going to get these ones. Yeah. Even. Yeah, like even if you're waiting for your signature spells for whatever, supported ones,
true. Yeah, even the supported ones, you're still not going to get them for months.
I had a gripe about this last night to Andrew.
Gripe.
Because did you get magic cards?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got them.
Oh,
I got
have you opened
them? Yeah, I had a look at them.
So what do you think of them and what's their biggest issue? Or is there no issue?
I'm on the spot now.
Sorry, man.
You sound like there's a glaring
to be honest,
they are pretty big. They are bigger than I'd like.
No, they're probably slightly bigger.
But
that's
probably. I didn't look. I looked at them. I was like, oh, where is the signature spells? I glanced at them and then put it back in the box.
Yeah.
There's no. Does the different laws have different backings?
There you go.
They don't.
I
didn't check that.
Not every card. It doesn't matter if it's a magic deck or a rules thing or a magic item. They all got the same back and they all look basically the same. And I'm like, I don't know. Like to me, that's just poor.
Yeah,
like you're spending all this money and you've got all these different laws and stuff, and they're going to get it's going to be confusing as. It's just like, come on, guys, put a freaking, even if it's text on the back, so I can look on the back and go, okay, there's all the necromancy ones, there's all the whatever. Nah. Yeah. And then the actual bit telling you what it is tiny font down the bottom, And it's just like, anyway, here's what it is.
It's ridiculous. You haven't even looked at that.
So when I'm looking at all these other magic cards that people are doing, I'm like, man, they're just as good, dudes. Maybe we should just print your own. Because anyway, that's it.
Really,
it's a very first world problem.
Fantasy edition, I'm sure, has had a very distinctive backing to each law.
Yeah, Battle Magic, 4th Ed. They had all the different cards. And it was sort of the fun bit. You look on the what they do with the amber spells? Oh yeah, they're more like animal-y, whatever. Or anyway, it is what it is.
And it's actually kind of important for organizing because when you're flipping through a pile of spell, like a literal deck, it's much easier to just go, oh, there's that color. Okay, these are the spells that I want. And keep them all together,
And I'm not saying it's going to cause massive amounts of problems in game, but I don't know. At the same time, it's a lot harder to. I could see people make mistakes accidentally that they've got the wrong spells. Like they've just gone. Because I think Andrew, even when we were playing the first game, I think you do it. Like you just naturally go, oh, hang on, no, that guy doesn't have that one. He's got this one. Because they all look friggin' the same, it's probably going to happen way more, even though you got the cards, unless you're putting them next to someone.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, it's a first world problem, but
totally.
I don't know. It's a first world game, isn't
it?
Yeah,
isn't it? Yeah. So anyway, hopefully they get a bit of feedback on that. It's funny, I should have thought of that, but because I've got the Heresy ones. I wonder, I've never used them because I've never played a game, so I don't know if they're different or not on the back. But anyway, totally unrelated. It's a different game. Cool. So have we got some hobby time? Or
will they actually be having those cards for ongoing sale, by the way? or is that only?
I think they reneged on that. I think yes. So originally, I think they said no, and then I've seen a few. I'm pretty sure I saw some Warhammer community Facebook comments saying that they're in, because you know what? If you go onto Warhammer store, whatever it is, they all say temporarily out of stock, not sold out or whatever. So I think, because I think they were saying initially
that I saw it sold out originally.
Yeah,
I think they said they were doing another round. So I don't know if that's official or it was just on someone saying it. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I checked after that and I noticed it was all just temporarily out of stock. And you click that little email button.
Yeah, right. Because I remember back in Lord of the Rings, it was like a temporary thing, and then you just couldn't get magic cards anymore. Like if you were lucky to have got them when you could, that was it.
Yeah,
it's turning into like ticket scalpers now. You know, like people are just going in and buying everything they can, and then just throwing.
Well, I mean, did you hear? I mean, did you guys track Did you saw the kerfuffle that happened with the final Heresy book? Did you see that?
No.
Oh, okay. So it's the first time, and so Games Workshop, they've all got this serial problem with scalpers on their web store, and the new web store is supposed to stop some of that, probably because it's so annoying to go to. But anyway, but they basically, so it knocked this, like they had massive queues 2 weeks ago because that last book came out. Fair enough, and then it got sold out instantly, sold out. And then there was heaps of scalpers showing screenshots of their carts with how many they bought and stuff. Like they've bought like 200 or whatever. I'm making some of those numbers up, but it was obvious that these people are like, dude, we could still buy heaps, and they do, and then they're selling them for shit ton. And so then Games Workshop put an announcement out and cancelled everyone's orders that had bought more than one or something that they deemed of being not right. So they canned them all, and then they did another pre-order and said, we've fixed some stuff. It's not going to happen. But next week or whatever it was, or 2 weeks later, they did it again, and the scalpers did it again, and then sent out screenshots on Reddit and stuff. Still got it. So they're just having trouble selling them legitimately through their store.
Really unaware of this. That is hectic.
So yeah, it's love to be in the boardrooms when they're chatting about this. It's probably sort of probably funny, but it's not really when people legitimately want to just get on and buy something and having to spend so much more because of it. They'd be better off doing something. We're getting way off topic, Sam, but they'd be better off putting a thing in where you can just register and say, there's my $80 or whatever it is for the book. And when it comes out in 3 years, I've got it. Send it to me. Like, sort of like what they do with Made to Order, but Made to Order massively in advance. And then you'd never have the problem. So anyway. Yeah. Anyway, that's another idea that someone could send a GDub. Cool. And in the meantime, they can invest that money in ETFs and Bitcoin and make more money. So, anyone done any hobby? Get me off my high horse. Anyone done any hobby?
I've done a bit of hobby. I probably haven't done as much this week. Just it's, life stuff going on. But I did do a couple of things. So one of them was, I think today actually. Today was the first day I've actually painted something since right before CanCon.
Wow, that's better than me. I haven't.
I sort of had to because I needed to get something done.
Scratching that itch.
The slow grower on Sunday. So I was like, I gotta paint up this sorceress because I decided to take a second sorceress for the 1,000-point game.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, yeah, okay, I'll just print this. I'll just paint this up. So yeah, I had a metal one that I bought a few months ago. It was like the Supreme Sorceress, the one on the curly. I've got it here. The curly waves and like, can you see her like that?
Yeah.
That one. Yeah. So that's really out of focus. I don't think this camera is designed to be.
Yeah, no webcam is. I don't think they're a bit average.
Yeah. So for those listening, she's on like the sorceress sort of spell tendrils, I guess, with skulls in it, and she's sort of holding her staff up in the air. So I painted her up, and then I've also been trying to work out what I want to do with my Bretonnian Lord on a Pegasus and how I want to model that.
Is this the new one? Is this what you're saying? Because I saw it in your notes, and I'm just assuming. Is that the Duke?
No, I haven't bought the Duke. I haven't bought the new one. I don't even think it's available. Oh, it is.
No, it's not separate. Oh, no. It's the BSB.
It's the BSB.
It's the BSB.
The BSB.
Yeah. So I'm still not sure what I want to do. Like I've actually got a 5th Ed Luon guy that I've been sitting around with, and I've been trying to work out, like, do I just mount him on like a one of the Pegasuses, like a 3D printed one from the Highlands range, and just use that? Like,
yeah.
sure that
Well,
would...
you know what we could do? I could send you the Duke, and then when it is available, and when I need
right,
it,
because it's
you
in the
could get me one.
battalion. Yeah.
Because it's literally sitting in my box behind me, and I'm not putting it together for. Let's be realistic. When am I going to put it together? It's going to be a while. So
yeah.
We'll talk offline on that.
That's fine. Yeah. That's fine. No rush. No rush at all. Yeah. I'm happy just to do my own thing in that regard. Yeah, maybe I'll get the proper Duke when he becomes available individually. But I don't know. I don't mind the sort of the 5th Ed aesthetic, and that's what's sort of going on for most of the rest of my Bretonnian army anyway.
Yeah, true.
Like I've got the older metal errants and the older metal questing knights and grails, so I think he actually sort of fits that vibe pretty well anyway. So I actually, because I've really only just I forgot I had that model actually until the other day when I was going through my box, and was like, what can I use as the Lord guy? And I found his cape as well, because his cape is actually like this whole separate piece.
Right. He's metal?
Yeah, he's metal.
Yeah.
He's metal.
Oh,
But the thing is, the 5th Ed one, the rider, he looks pretty good, but the hippogriff is on sort of spindly, and it's very it looks very middle to old hammer. But
is that the one with the hippogriff? Like it's very vertical more than anything. Is that one?
Yeah,
like,
it's like right back up on its haunches. Like striking out. So it's it does look aged, but I feel like the Rakshal rider, I think, kind of more modern mount actually would look perfectly fine.
Okay, cool.
So I think he'd look good on that.
And you don't have anything like that at all, hey? Because everything else was just on horseback. Yeah,
everything that I'd run. Yeah, I've never really run. Not since I played it in 9th Age, I guess. But yeah, in 6th Ed, I never ran a monster.
Yeah.
And I do have a hippogriff, like the 6th Ed guy, but I've never actually really ran him or painted him. It just got sort of half painted and half constructed. But yeah, I haven't run him. I'm still considering. I think I will run the hippogriff at some point as well. But at the moment, I'm leaning towards BSB on a peg, Duke on a peg, 2 units of peg knights, and just lots of flying. Real flying air force sort of. On field to it.
Yeah, I think it's time to just embrace it. Hey, like, I mean, going from 8th edition where it was like you couldn't take that stuff anyway, really. Like you could, but it's going to get killed or cannoned off. It's like now it's just like, let's just embrace it. Yeah, there'll be some breaking things, but we'll sort it out.
I think the rule set is absolutely geared towards enabling characters on monstrous mounts. Now, like it's not overpowered, but it is. Become a more central part of the game, hasn't it? And which I don't really mind. I think as long, like the way the roster rules are structured, it seems to make it so you're not really having these individual characters necessarily destroy ranked up units.
Totally.
I feel like there is still balance in that. It's not like a full on hero hammer, but at least having mounted characters on mounts as part of the game more commonly, I think, is absolutely the way we're heading, and I'm all for that, really.
Yeah, and they kind of give access.
So sorry, you're right.
Oh yeah, I was going to say they kind of give access to monster slaying weapons and whatnot. To across the board, so that there is room for people to sort of counter those builds to some degree.
I'm tempted to give the Bretonnian virtue that's essentially the old heroic killing blow, which is killing blow and monster slayer on the Duke, and just have him like go around hunting other monsters. I think that is
so good, having them both like fused together. That is
fused together.
Yeah.
As long as I roll 6.
Yeah.
And what was the other list I saw that had like 5?
Oh, do you want to talk about that?
Colin? Oh my God, that was
just
crazy.
saying. Yeah, well, I'll jump in that because that was funny. So we did the hobby hangout yesterday, me and Andrew, and we had a couple. There was more people than I thought. There was probably 13 people, and we had a couple of people chatting because I didn't announce it because I wasn't even sure I was going to have a chance to do it, and Andrew wasn't sure either till later that night.
Yeah, it was a bit of a test sort of thing.
It was a test on.
Yeah.
setting up OBS, which I knew how to do that part, but it was more around seeing how I could bring you, Josh, in for the battle reports, that type of thing for the streaming.
Right.
And I had an idea to try use Discord for sort of that ability to have multiple different people. Having done all that now, Andrew, and thinking I'd probably have like the option to show your screen or your camera, I think I will go back to that other thing, the Video Ninja that I was showing you guys ages ago. Anyway, I'm totally off topic again. But anyway, we did the stream.
That's right.
And yeah, Gilthos said, where was it? I look forward to seeing Tomb King's armor with 5 things that have monster slaying and 5 things that have terror. So I was like, could we do that? And then, I mean, you can. So I came up with something like this. And it's the magic items are not sorted out fully yet because I only just did it literally before the podcast. But you can pretty much do it. And it might be an interesting list. I actually have everything here except for the dragon, but I will have it on Wednesday. So it's like you put the high priest on a bone dragon. So he's got terror. Then you put the Tomb King on a Kemrian War Sphinx. That guy's got terror. And then the Royal, like I like the Royal Herald because that, the BSB basically, but you take the Dragon Slaying Sword on him. So now he's got monster slaying. Then I've got 5 chariots with the champion with the Death Mask. So he's causing terror. And because he's the champ, you just keep raising him. So he's always going to have terror. And then 5 Skellies, 5 Skelly horsemen. You got to have those dudes. Just some archers, just padding out core there. Because I don't think, I mean, again, there might be some other magic items you could use to put a different unit in to use it, but I didn't think it was worth it. 3 Scorpions, so they've all got Monster Slayer. And then Necro Colossus has got terror. And then the Necro Sphinx is terror and monster slaying. So there's 5 monster slaying units and 5 terror causing units, plus necromancy with it. Leadership debuffs.
Bad day to be a dragon.
So that'd be funny. It'd be funny to run it. I don't know how good it'll be, but it'd be interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was just one of our newest patrons asked about that, so I thought I'll give him a shout out and see if we could come up with something. So I guess the question is, do I actually want to try run that at some point? That'd be funny. So
yeah. I think it would go pretty well. I mean, it really would depend on what the army came up against.
Yeah,
as to the value of it. But if we're seeing more and more monstrous mounts. Those scorpions are pretty scary.
Yeah,
and all the terror everywhere. Oh my god.
Yeah, it'd just be funny. So anyway, we'll see. That I don't know. I just start trying to embrace some of these things and go, well, gets more stuff painted, and like I was saying to Andrew too, I struggle to actually get the motivation sometimes to just smash out painting unless I have a list and a game set up. So that's sort of what I have to probably do is like just start building a list with something that I do need painted, get it done, then change it a bit, and eventually get through it all.
Yeah.
Cool. Any other hobby then, Josh?
That's what happened to me with the slow grow. It's like, I'm gonna paint this thing up for some time. Not really any other hobby. I mean, I did spend a bit of time.
The terrain question.
I did spend a bit of time putting together the scenario for Sunday. But I want to talk about the terrain question though, because I think was it Jared?
I think it was Jared.
I think he was asking about how I went about the terrain boards, because man, that is actually something I spent a crap load of time on. Really.
So you made them all, hey? It wasn't bought.
Yeah, they were made from scratch. So I basically used boards 3 centimeter thick XPS boards from Bunnings. Now I've done it before, and I had some. I can't remember if either of you played it when I was in Newcastle, but I had an older set.
I played on one of them. Yeah,
that was just like cut up 5 centimeter thick MDF, but foam, but didn't have the MDF on the edges. And I found those to be a bit fragile, like they could get dinged really easily. So I actually went back and did a whole new set using MDF on the edge, like I think it was the 3 mil thick MDF as a border around them, and then drill holes for magnets, so 2 magnets on each side, so 8 magnets per board. And then I've got a variety of boards essentially where I've got some that are 2 foot by 2 foot, some that are 1 foot by 2 foot, and some that are 1 foot by 1 foot, and then just different terrain on each one. And I've done rivers where the rivers are depressed into the actual terrain. I've done one lake that's in there as well. That's sort of the attraction for me when I made it, was so that I could actually have this stuff built into the terrain. And then built up the dirt and the static grass and that type of thing on top as well. I think my only mistake when I made it is I probably made too many hills with these. Like, I almost should have made more flat terrains. It's almost like a temptation when you're making this stuff. It's like, I should make it more interesting. So, I'll add a bit more terrain.
Yeah.
But then it turns out when I'm making this terrain, I end up with, like, if I set up the board, I've got like 3 or 4 hills.
So with that, like, have you only got enough of these squares for that one table, or did you make extras?
I've got. So a table would be 6x4.
I'll just bring it up on for people are watching again, just so they know exactly what we're talking about. But yeah,
I've probably got enough for another 4x4 on top of the 6x4.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
okay.
right.
Awesome.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
that's cool.
So I've got a full 4 foot by 1 foot river section. I've got maybe
there's no river on here. There's just the pond. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've got another couple more boards as well. So it was just the pond today. And the bigger hill, like it's in the far end of that screen, is actually can be connected to another half hill, and then I've actually designed it the watchtower's base sort of fits in that.
So you take that off, put the watch, then you can put it in the middle here too.
The watchtower, and then that arm and hand that you guys saw at CanCon also fits in on top of that hill as well. So they're all modular essentially with each other. So this took me like it was actually my COVID project.
Yeah.
So it was about a year or 18 months of focus, to get it done, because it was actually a shitload of work, just designing it, but also building the boards themselves. Because the boards, like, man, like when you're designing this stuff, like, you actually need to be so precise with your cuts and making sure you're getting exactly 90 degrees. Because if you're a bit off a little bit, especially when you're doing lots of board sizes and different, boards, that it just won't line up. It will be like just a little bit askew, and then that won't line up with that board, and then the whole thing's sort of off. Which is again another mistake I made with the first set I made back in the day. So I just had a few cuts that weren't quite right, and then the boards just didn't line up. I feel like this is a hugely painstaking way of approaching terrain making by the watercolors, but I'm not sure I'd recommend anyone do this.
No, I know, but it's very topical, because I think Mini Wargaming did and I know it was sort of a paid promotional video, but there's a guy that are doing more of these now that are 3D printed and everything. Obviously, there's probably been around for a while, but there's a guy doing more of them now, and he was saying, because Mini Wargaming have done similar things to this, and then they all obviously went all to the mats because they're just easier. But he said, like, the mats are good, but they're not as immersive as something like this. But he said maybe these new 3D ones are they're getting to that point where maybe there is an option here, because what you would have had to do is what you did, Josh, which is spend a year making them, measuring them and all that. So maybe you will start seeing this a bit more,
Yeah. I feel like 3D print would be the way to go. I think it'd be really accurate. And
I think it's called Terrainify. Is it? Did you guys see that video? It was like a week or two ago. It was pretty new.
Oh, the tiles they're making. Yeah, I saw those. I mean, I'm actually a Patreon of Terrainify, by the way.
Oh, so it is Terrainify. Okay, yeah. So they do them, do they? Are they like this? Are they different types of?
They're all foots. They're all 12-inch terrains.
Okay.
And I must admit, looking at them, there's a fair bit of stuff on them. Like, I'm not sure it's designed for Warhammer necessarily. If you know what I mean? You need enough open space, and a lot of the terrain there is slightly busy and also not removable. So I feel like it'd get in the way a little bit. Like, even when I built this board, originally I was making it for Lord of the Rings, really. And then, I came into Warhammer. Unfortunately, I hadn't put too much on the boards. I'd left it empty enough or convertible enough that I could still use it for Warhammer. But it's a real temptation to, when you're doing this kind of sculpting, to really fill it with stuff. And then, for a rank and flank game, it just becomes a bit of a headache. But Terrainify is really good. And that's what I used. Those are the designs I used for the hills that I was printing a few months ago, when I was talking about, and I put one on the Instagram when I had the Dark Elf Tower on it, like the hill.
That's right.
The hill on the base of that's actually a Terrainify hill.
Okay.
And that's on my to-do list. At some point, I want to make those hills into a snow terrain to go with the snow mat that I bought. Which should be fun. So I actually really like the Trainify stuff. But yeah, I haven't jumped onto their Kickstarter with the tiles. A, because I've already got this whole thing going, and I really need any more tiles.
Totally.
And B, I think the mats are a really good versatile way of approaching. It's so quick. Like this is a fair bit of work.
And sliding stuff around.
And it takes
so
me
good.
20 minutes, half an hour to set it up. Whereas a mat, just roll it out, put a few
and rolling dice on mats sounds cool.
So, yeah.
There's lots of ASMR going on.
Yep. Not so many cock dice.
Yeah. I know this thing. Oh man, I had to go and get a metal tray as a dice roller because all the static grass. It's like every second dice. Oh, it's cold.
It's cold.
So annoying. So there's definitely some practical drawbacks about this approach.
That's cool. Yeah. Awesome. Oh well, I mean, Jared, if you want to know, that's the story of it. But if not, hit Josh up, I guess, if you ever think of doing that.
On my Instagram, I think down the bottom, some of the earlier photos, I did have some sort of work in progress photos I'd put up there a while ago. This has got like the sculptor mold layers and then the grass layers and that type of thing as it goes down.
Cool.
Nice.
So there's a little bit going on there.
Awesome. Did you get up to anything, Andrew, or just YouTubing like me?
No, well, not specifically. I got a message from the Hey Jake order is complete, so I can pick that up. I was going to give him a little plug actually. So, if anyone's after, he sorted out all my bases for my vamps, and I've got a lot of bases. Like 200 plus bases coming, and that's the problem. Is I've got 200 zombies, and I'm like, I don't need 200 zombies. But like 8th edition, 9th age, you need heaps of zombies, or else like you don't really need them now. Anyway, I've got those coming. And it was only like $100 odd for the order, which I thought was pretty cool. And they were cobblestone, so I went and found the ones that I wanted, like the design. So I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, so it's not just a base; he's done the whole texture on for you.
Yeah. They're cobblestone textured bases. So I got I don't know, 200 by 150s. I got like I think 5 chariot ones, and then I don't know, like 5 or 6 50s, about 10 40s, a heap of cav, and just a heap of the 25s. So that'll keep me busy. But I went today to Frontline, your old stomping ground, Gomo, and got some little bits and pieces to help bedazzle my bases. I'll go to Bunnings tomorrow. I'll get some spray paint, and I'll start getting them.
Did you actually get the bases now too? They've come.
I'm picking them up tomorrow.
Oh, you're picking them because he's out. Yeah, he's here, isn't he? He's like west.
It's in Newcastle.
Newcastle. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, right.
So I'm
maybe
keen as
somewhere that might not be right where he is. It might be somewhere else, but
I think it is. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. No, I got some of his stuff. I might actually go back and look though. I didn't realize he could do the textured ones, so that might be an option for orcs if I'm redoing.
Yeah, them, I just went and found them because, like, you pay like $5 or $10 and you get like the full set. Yeah. So I just did that, and he just printed them up. So.
Oh, cool. Okay. I haven't. I mean, the most hobby I've done is kept pulling bases off a little bit, but then last night you saw what I was doing. I was just plugging gluing skeleton right hands on with spears onto my skeleton warriors, and I pulled one of my, basically just pulling off old bases. Like I had 9th age round, I think it's 9th age round bases for like my other Screaming Skull and stuff. So got that off and only broke 2 bits of it because it's fine cast. And there was like when you're trying to put a lot of like effort onto cutting this base thing off, it was like an MDF round one. It just like it broke one of the legs off, and part of the back of the catapult sort of broke. But I've glued it all back. It's all pretty fine.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's on a right base, but now I'm worried about the actual painted one that's on the wrong base. It's going, oh no, I don't want to break that one. But yeah, it probably will. I don't know. I might have to get the old Dremel out because that might work better. I haven't done that. You could probably easily Dremel underneath put one of those little sanding things on it, like the little.
What, and Dremel away?
Oh, just under, like Dremel away the MDF under where it's glued, probably. Like, so just hack it off.
I usually find you can just use I use a scalpel blade, but that's not just like a blade, and just go underneath the glue and just take off.
And take off the whole layer.
Yeah, and like a little bit of the MDF comes off board, but that's something you can just use that as a platform for the glue for the next whatever base.
I might try it. Yeah, I didn't. Maybe mine's just gone blunt. I'll have to have a go at it.
Yeah, sanding takes a while. Even electrical sanding, you'll be there for a while.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
trying to get through 3 mil
blade then.
I got myself some glue too.
Oh yeah, Rocket Rapid. Loves his super glue.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's all. But so I'm just trying to decide what order I want to do the rest of these Tomb Kings, whether or not rebasing or finishing painting some of the stuff already started, like like the Necrosphinx. It's just going to be painting, but I'm sort of so close to having everything that's not painted put on the right bases and then just undercoat them all. I was saying that's probably what I might do. So then I've got all these undercoated and mostly based stuff that's not finished, but I can start going, I need that, I'll paint it. But then all I do with the current stuff that's already painted is just rebase the 20s, which will mostly just be skeletons at the moment. Like even that list I put together there, it's just archers. I'll probably just start with them, and then will I bring Tomb Guard? Maybe, but when I do, I'll worry about. That's why I might get some spacer trays just for the short term, because it's such a pain to rebase. I wasn't going to do that, but I'm just like, if I'm going to take longer to rebase, I might as well just have some of these spacer trays handy. And I was just going to get like 2x5s, 7, like 5x2s, 7x2s, and then just buy a bunch of them for both 20 to 25s and 25s to 30s, and then I can just mix and match, and just maybe even keep them black, and just don't actually paint them or anything. They're just literally just for that, if I need to play a game, especially if I hit a tournament and haven't finished doing it or something. So
because that way you can use it for other armies as well.
It
keeps it quite versatile if you keep it black.
Yeah, it just, it's short term, like, I'm not worried about it. I don't want it forever, but Anyway, so that's about it. And then, I've just been doing we did a lot of YouTube last week, and we'll do more. And then I finally got most of this streaming set up for a battle, like a stream, which hopefully me and Andrew will get a game in maybe in this week. And do a stream if people are around. We'll put it out on the socials when we're there. But if not, you can watch the replay.
I've been scheming my ass off this week. Because last week I thought I was going to bring something a bit fluffy and a bit fun, and then you absolutely tabled me in about 30 seconds.
So now he's bringing the big vamps.
After that embarrassment, I'm like, serious. Here we go. So I've been scheming. Let's just say that.
Cool. All good for that. Yeah.
Just don't bring that monster killing list that you.
But I don't know. That's all. I've got all of that ready to go. If the dragon comes, I just need to glue them together. I've got a War Sphinx. It's just not painted, but it's sitting there.
Yeah, that's it.
So I could run that. I did actually. No, I do have another list I could try. It's more of a mix, but I wanted to try more of those bow sharpties and just playing around with some different stuff. But it does have the leech on a drag. I'm seeing this more and more, and I'm almost wanting to do it. Like, I feel like the leech on a dragon is actually going to be viable, even though it's your Hierophant, and you sort of. I think you got to get out of the 8th edition brain that it's a bad thing to do. And I just think, if anything, he's sometimes safer because he can still heal himself and he can get out of trouble and all this sort of stuff. Whereas a king on a dragon is great, but he can't do anything with his My Will Be Done because it's always on his own unit. So he should be in chariots or something, or something else, I think. But who knows? There's a million different builds that are probably viable. So, anyway. But look, if I get my order from Gap Games, because it's shipped, if I get it by Wednesday, then I should have it glued together by whenever, Thursday, Friday, whatever we end up playing. So,
Yeah, nice.
He won't be painted, but I mean, a bit of grey plastic on the battle report's pretty rare, but occasionally it's going to happen.
Yeah, these things must happen. So I'll be expecting a dragon then.
Maybe. Don't know.
I'll have to do some more scheming.
Actually, probably I was saying this. Probably I'll do Tomb Kings next, just because it's the most comfortable at the moment. But I think I will start playing around with, especially if we get the adapter trays. I'll bring the Empire out and Orcs and play around with them, because it'd be good just to have a feel for the other armies that I've got a little bit, just to see if which one's the next one or whatever. And plus, I've been playing Tomb Kings for a while, and Tomb Kings have been plastered everywhere. Everyone's probably sick of them, so it'd be good to put some other armies on the table.
Yeah. And Orcs might be a good option if they're going to re-release that stuff new soon anyway.
They look good. Some of the stuff, they look viable, pretty good. So
could do some Orcs versus Dwarves.
Did you see someone on YouTube said, Josh, you need to get your acting gear and you need to bring your Bretts and play? And I'm like, he lives 14 hours away or whatever.
To you guys.
Yeah, I think they didn't realise.
Get your acting gear,
they wouldn't have realised.
He never comes over to play. Yeah, a little bit too far.
He's so selfish.
A bit far. I am jealous. I wish I could seeing that setup you got now with the streaming. Sounds really cool. And,
should be good.
I do wish I could do that more easily.
We could maybe start a GoFundMe for Josh
flying. Yeah, that's true. Fly him up, drive him up. I mean, he can drive, but it's taking the time to do it. You'd want to fly.
It's a decent drive. Yeah, I would not drive.
Having said that, the flight part into Newcastle coming to my house is not bad at all. It's probably, I don't know how far away. It's probably worse in Melbourne getting to the airport than. How close are you to the airport?
Yeah, it'd be a 45-minute drive to the airport. So much easier to get.
It's about the same, but then Melbourne's probably busier, and
it's completely different. Yeah. Newcastle Airport's so relaxing. I really like Newcastle Airport.
And we've got the awesome scanners. I think they're going everywhere now, but the scanners where you literally don't have to take anything out of your bag. You just put them all. Everything just goes on the thing, goes through. You don't have to take computers out. You don't have to take anything out. It's so much better. So
it's only 10 minutes down the road, Newey Airport.
From you?
It's viable. Yeah,
I know. That's right. Set up in Andrews. Yeah.
No, I'll pick them up and drop them off at yours, and we'll do the battle at your place.
Totally.
Crash on that couch right behind you.
Yeah. Well, I've got we have 3 sofa beds in this house. There's a lot of room.
There you go.
Well, a spare room as well. So
Patreons, and then we'll be able to.
Yeah, that's right.
Fly it on Patreon.
So I wonder if someone from Jetstar or something wants to sponsor the podcast. Oh, we're off topic. This is what happens when you've just read too many things and your brain's just, I don't know what. Anyway, we're going to get to.
Look,
let's
I will
chat
come up
a
for
couple of
Castle
rules.
Assault, by the way.
Oh yeah, I know. Well,
in August. So I'll probably try. We'll probably try and do a stream then. Maybe
so those dates are locked
early
in
or something.
I talked to Kendall today. Saw Kendall today at a Super Bowl thing that I went to. They're locked in 10th. I think it's 10th and 11th. 10th and 11th. Yeah. I said to him, you should really put tickets out soon. He said, yeah, he's going to put an expression of interest out pretty soon because I reckon it's going to be busy. So.
Yeah, no, I was glad to locking those dates so early because I was my partner was trying to organize a holiday in late August for to go on a road trip, and I'm like, I'm not sure what weekend yet. I'm trying to delay us booking anything, and then when Kendall posted this, I was like, yes, thank God.
Yeah, well, I had a bit of a
book myself.
Yeah, well, I'm going to the snow, and I booked 5 days Airbnb last year. Like you have to do it in advance. I paid 5 days at an Airbnb, and it's in August. And then I saw it was going to be in August. I'm like, oh crap, is that the same? But it's a different weekend. It's like, phew. So because I wouldn't have been able to get out of that. Plus, we're going with other people, so I'm like, that'd suck to have to miss Castle. But anyway,
it's expensive up the snow.
Yeah. Cool. Well, let's get on to some rulesy discussions, and we probably don't have to go all night because we've actually gone way longer. That's me. So
absolute rubbish.
I think people like it. It's fun.
Dealt anything with the rules yet? That's always
What's the main? What's the vibe of the discussion here? It's just some interesting things about 1 or 2 different rules. I think we were talking about line of sight. Seems to be a bit of a discussion.
Yeah, because I saw a whole thread on that just on one of the old world groups, where people were like, it's true line of sight. And they're like, no, it isn't. It's the bases. And then everyone got the books out and read it. And then everyone's just confused about what GW were writing.
Yeah, that's right.
Classic GW.
Because I don't know how you guys read it. Like it's so bizarre where it says, you need to stoop down to look from the model's point of view.
Yeah,
from a straight, uninterrupted line.
I really thought, I don't know, because obviously I've read the rule book, but you need to read it multiple times and play to get it. And when I first read it, I think I even answered it and then got corrected on that forum. I was like, no, I think pretty sure line of sight's pretty much just, draw a line, like put the laser down, and hit something, and like sort of like in 6, it's like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then yes, if you're looking at cover, obscuring line of sight, like if someone's in your way, then you look down, and that way you can get cover saves and stuff. But like, but it's not. I mean, I don't know. It says line of sight. To check line of sight between 2 models, stoop down to look from the model's point of view.
Yeah.
So to me, that means a line can be not along the table. It can be like, going up or down or sideways.
I call bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like the key word is in the second dot point where it's, if you can't draw a line without crossing over or through another model. So I feel like when they say about crossing over, that implies bases.
Yeah, because even if you could see through someone's arm, you're crossing over the model.
Yeah,
but it doesn't say over terrain. But if no such thing is drawn to them or without crossing over or through another model.
It says intervening terrain.
Yeah.
So
I mean, they're just. I think it's just their way of explaining. You got to look down. Like, obviously, they're not going to say, "Oh, get out your laser, sight or like laser line." I think it's just the way that they've sort of explained it isn't probably like accurate when it comes down to. Yeah, obviously we've got these tools, but not everybody will have them. So that's probably just their way of just trying to say like, but I can't see it not being the base. Like everything's always been the base.
Well, so odd. I mean, they've explained it so poorly. They don't.
It wasn't in 8th though, was it? It was more like this in 8th, where you could look through and go, I can see you through that forest.
In 8th was true line of sight, and I'm actually looking back in the book. It's actually described very similar to this, except for the without crossing over bit. Like that's the only key word that's in this that wasn't in the 8th book. Everything else is like, oh my god, this sounds very bloody similar. And I can't believe the word base, as you say, Andrew. Like, they don't actually say base in this whole section of line of sight.
Nah, it's model. Yeah, which is fine in a way. Like, I don't mind using the light. Like, if someone's hanging over a base and you look at the, like, you could hit, your laser would hit both, and you go, yeah, okay, they're in line of sight. But it's this, it's just this model point of view, because I'd hate to see. But you're right. It does say due to but doesn't intervening terrain mean I can't see through it because the terrain's in my way? It doesn't mean I've gone over the terrain, whereas it's only saying over another model. So that's the bit that's like, because my point of view is if you're like behind the forest totally and I can't even see your base at all flat, along the line, then like it's blocked. But here it sort of means you could still technically see through it, and they'd just be soft, like hard, like hard cover. Well, they don't call it hard cover now. What's it called? What's the cover called? The two types.
Obscure.
Partial.
Partial and yeah. It's there. Yeah.
It's really got to be drawn from a top-down perspective, which is so bizarre that they specifically say stoop down to look from the model's point of view. Like,
I hope TAs just rule it the other way, because it's just.
Yeah.
I don't know why it ever makes it. I know you could talk about being fluffy and stuff, like being down near a model, too, but it's just
You can get because I mean, there's going to be people out there 3D printing. You could have people, if they really want to be gamey, just stuffing around with scales, to possibly, have large scale things to obscure, shooting at you sort of thing. Like it, you wouldn't think people would, but I could see that being possibly a thing. Like, I mean, you talk about, people coming out these ridiculous lists and, 30 odd, shooters in a row. Like, I think you would see that. And you definitely see that with 40K. There is cheese getting about, and people are always going to bring cheese. That's why I just don't like those sort of rules where it's just like it allows that.
I want things to be in cover. Like I want things to block line. Like you
Yeah,
want to be able to
absolutely.
move
And it would have been
around.
nice if it was more clearly written. I mean, the weird thing is they've very clearly written that you can't shoot from the second rank because the model in front blocks it.
Yeah.
But if they're talking about true line of sight and that type of thing, it's like, well, what if you model it so they're all like straddling each other, so the second rank can see past the model in the first rank? You know what I mean? Like if that was the ruling, it'd be you'd argue it'd be completely different. I feel like they've just missed a big opportunity to actually write this far more clearly. But I feel like the interpretation's in there. If you just got to prize it apart.
Yeah. Oh, I hope so. I hope it doesn't go ridiculous the other way where it's like, nah, they're in cover, but I can see them. That type of thing. It's like, well, yeah, you can't because the scenery's in the way. I'm more worried about other scenery rather than models. I think they're right with the models. Like you could easily put models in because it's saying, well, it's crossing over through another model, which blocks it for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
But the terrain bit's a bit weird,
The terrain bit is a bit weird.
But I mean, it says intervene. I mean, again, you're arguing about what does intervening mean, So it is in the way. It's, ridiculous. It makes me wonder sometimes that when they play the games, what type of game do they want? Because I just feel like that's, it's not like this is a new thing that causes problems. You know what I mean? It's not like that's a new thing. It's like, this could be like we've had these issues before in so many different versions. Like with 8.
In the terrain section, it's actually a bit more clearly described. So it's on page 270.
Oh, okay, cool.
Under arboreal gloom.
Oh, no, I remember reading that. That's right. So that's for forests, but yes.
That's for forests specifically.
I can't spell that.
But,
I was trying to spell it to search for it.
Oh, you're trying to find.
Yeah. What page was it?
270.
Right, okay. This is my legit copy. Well, went too far.
Too legit.
Where are you?
I've got 3 copies of the rule book, so I'm allowed to have a PDF.
There it is.
Arboreal gloom. So this is just under woods, but yeah, you're right. This is if a wood lies between 2 models. That's right. I remember reading that. Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe that's why they didn't have to cover it so much because it's in this rule.
It's so bizarre because this is 100% clear. It talks about bases. It talks about drawing a line between those bases and crossing over or through the wood.
Yep.
No, so woods of any signs are dark places filled with branches and trailing vines. Seen clearly through such arboreal gloom, I love that phrase, is difficult to say the least. If a wood lies between 2 models and if neither model is within the wood, a line of sight can only be drawn between them if an uninterrupted line can be drawn between their bases without crossing over or through
so that's
the
done.
wood.
Nah, cool. I now remember reading this. That's awesome. But this is the type of rule. I love it, but you need to need to look at all 3 verses, to find it. Yeah. So if you're hanging out, if you're behind the wood, but your base is hanging out and you can draw a line with the laser from you not touching the wood and hitting it, then you're in, but you're probably in, partially obscured cover, but that's fine. I can still see you. But yes, if it touches the wood, which is what I wanted. So that's cool. No, so this is probably why I thought it was that way because I probably had read it and then gone, yeah, that's what it is. And then you go back to the original line of sight rule and you're like, hang on, what? Yeah. So
I thought I got something from skirmishes as well that mentioned like bases and not models.
Well, they talked about that you can actually see through them, but you could position bases so you can't. Like you can see through the gaps, basically.
Yeah. I thought I mentioned bases, not models as well. So
that probably does, yeah.
They do. Oh, have you got it? Oh, that was quick.
Line of sight can be drawn between the individuals. Whilst you can do that, the individual's model block line of sight as normal.
So like models. Right.
Yeah. But so you can still see through and stuff.
Yeah.
There
you go. It's models. I thought it was bases.
It's just.
Does it say shooting? Can you go down to shooting?
Oh, that was -1 to hit them.
Oh, yeah, but it talks about them shooting through themselves.
That was that here or was that just?
Yeah, it should be skirmishes and shooting. Within a unit of skirmishers, Blocking
line of sight of other models within the same unit.
Yeah, so it says models as well. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So have we solved it then? It's still technically what we said. It's just a bit confusing with that line of sight section.
Yeah. I think we have.
Yeah, cool.
So we're going bases. That's the.
Well, I don't know so much about bait. Like, I think if you've got a massive model and he's got a massive arm hanging out the side, and I can draw a line, laser line, and hit that arm, that I can see you technically. If it says model,
technically, does that mean that arm can also see you back?
Yeah. So you could play that. However, I'm just saying that you'd probably want to go back to like general principles or stuff like that to see if it talks about what a model is, and maybe it might say something to do with the base. Do you know what I mean? Like model and unit facing. We'd have to go back and look at
the way they've written, it sounds like if it's any part of the model. In 8th edition, it specifically actually says in the book, if you can draw a line of sight from the eyes of the miniature.
Yeah.
Which
you got to get behind.
As ridiculous as it sounds,
it's ridiculous. Yeah,
is actually better than just saying if you can draw a line of sight from any part of the model. Because as you say, if you're using a fingertip, that's just
But then don't they also? I know 40K does this, but I think it was in Fantasy. They also went, but so it's actually any part of the model that you could see from the eyes, but don't count guns or banners. And it's like it gets really like debatable whether or not that thing hanging off like the model is the thing. You know what I mean? Especially like with a spawn or something. Like I don't know, what is that thing hanging off its back? Is it part of the body or is it not? Yeah. So,
Going back to the way they phrase it though, because I feel like it's important to address. They specifically say it can be drawn from within the model's vision arc to any part of the other model.
Oh yeah.
So I feel like the vision arc is what you draw from the base front. That's the base frontage.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, that's true. See, this is good. Yep, true. Because that's always measured from the base. Yeah. Yeah, so if you've got an arm hanging off and that's outside of your vision arc, then you can't measure off that. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you're not measuring off that. Yep.
But it'd just be nice if they just went.
So it is from the base, but they don't use that word. Fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. You need to keep. It's like you got to keep consuming all the bits and then put it all back together and go, right, what does it actually mean? Yeah.
And then you go back, then you digest it and think you got it right, and then you go back to the book a few weeks later and can't find the right paragraph anymore.
Because you don't know where it was.
Pieced together from different parts, and then you can't find it anymore. Like what the hell? But I feel like
treasure map.
Yeah, I feel like you were right originally, Gomo, with how you were saying it on that thread. Really, it's
probably
you draw a line. If it hits a base, you're not line of sight, and then you swoop down and check for cover.
See if it's in cover.
It's just not how it's phrased in the book, but I feel like in practice, that's probably how you should do it.
Yeah. Oh, well, now that I've talked to you and you've pointed me to the right areas, now I can understand where I got that from, probably. But
yeah,
because it's a big rule book still, and you consume it, and then you go, I can't find where it was. Yeah. Oh, cool. Okay, well,
15 minutes on a podcast discussing.
Yeah, well, I think that I'll probably get I don't know if I mentioned on this, but I want to do a video up for that, like rules we're getting wrong, because I think that's I've seen a few, and I did the reform video, and I released a new version of it last week with some changes, because you just so many times you read something, it goes in your brain different. And the biggest thing with that is something like redress ranks versus reform. So many people, like the drilled special rule, and obviously we talked a little bit about the Sea Guards redress rank rule as well, but so many I've read it as reforming in my head. You know what I mean? Like just drilled, you can reform and then move and stuff, but it's not a reform. It's a redress rank, which is a totally different thing. Though I reckon heaps of people will get that wrong initially. They'll just think, I get to reform. Well, no, you don't. Yeah, it's a totally different thing. So
right.
It's perfectly natural. It's just there's a lot of complexity in here, and it's a lot of it's down to terminology sometimes. So.
Yeah, there's an impressive level of complexity in this game, isn't there? Like we're all experienced Warhammers, and it's taking us a good month or two to really wrap our heads around these rules.
Yeah,
for a new player coming in, it's pretty daunting.
Yeah, it would. That would be an interesting documentary series. Get someone who's at least interested in games, because I think you'd have to slightly be interested in that, and then say. I'll pay you to do this, but I want to see you understand what this thing is, get the rules, and also paint an army. Like, it would actually be quite funny to see someone try and do it. It'd be like, you see these challenge shows where they're like putting themselves like Survivor. It'd be like that. It's like you have to build a 2,000 point Warhammer army.
Survive the nerds.
And at the end of it is you got to play a tournament, 5 days tournament. It doesn't matter. You don't have to win games or anything, but you actually. This is an idea. There's something to this. Maybe
reality
we do a
TV show
for that. Yeah,
of like 10 participants
totally people
all
who've
trying to
got
do
no
it.
interest in the hobby, and you're like, you have to get through this. They'd be like, what? What are you guys doing to yourselves? Yeah. Oh, you can't buy the model. You have to go to eBay and find it. You know. So, or buy a 3D printer and then learn how to 3D print.
Learn how to 3D.
Sorry. Anyway,
so deep.
Yeah.
I guess it helped that we all started playing when we were 12 years old, and we had no idea what the rules were. But it took us, by the time we were 20, we'd worked it out. Like it just takes years to learn how to paint and play the game.
Yeah, did we work it out, but
no.
maybe.
Some of us did, but I haven't. Yeah, I still make dumb mistakes. Just like, god. But I mean, it's one of these things. You don't play it enough. You just don't ever get the muscle memory. So you're always a bit behind the 8 ball. But if you're having fun, that's the main thing. So
that is. Yep.
The other one that I thought was interesting to talk about was, I don't think it's really debatable. It's just more of just understanding the nuance around like troop types and movement and stuff, especially given the rise of dragons and everyone's crying that dragons are going to kill the game type thing, or sort of. And I thought that would be interesting to at least talk through or walk through what we understand of those different types of troop types, and because it's really like there's actually a quite funny one around chariots, which it's just how they lay the rule book out. But anyway, let's have a look. So, like in general, you've got the. I mean, do you guys have anything else to say on that, or should I just go into it? Or
go into it.
No, go for it.
Yeah. Like in general, obviously we had that. There's a whole maneuver section, which I guess is in movement. It talks about like, you can move forward. You can obviously you can turn. And that's another big one, which is related to this. It's literally the model's turning. So I think a lot of people who've come from 8th aren't used to that. You know what I mean? Like they think everything's a reform type thing, like a swift reform left to pivot and then move. And then, so I think you'll get some people accidentally doing those type of things when it's just not. And then obviously you've got the wheel, which you actually obviously have to pay for that. Plus in a charge, you have to pay for it. And then you have the redress ranks, which is, where I guess we were still, I know someone I shouldn't say corrected us the other day. It's just I can't be bothered looking at that rule. Like I probably don't do it that much. But that's where you take it. Is it 5 models? 3 on one side. Yeah. 2 on the other. You got to do it fairly even. And then reforms, obviously, the full change your shape into different formations and reform. Even that one, though, is actually worded a little weird. Did you see that? And this is sort of, let me try to find it. It's be in movement, wouldn't it? Movement in detail. Oh, would it? Yeah, maneuvers. Here we go. Someone was saying, and I don't think they were saying this as what it is, but when you do a reform, where was it? Pivoting. Reform represents the most complex maneuvers. Reforming allows a unit to sacrifice its entire movement in order to both pivot about its center, to change its facing, or to rearrange its ranks and files as required to either change its formation or adopt a different formation. What was the guy saying? It was basically saying like it's not really. What was he saying? If you can't change into a different formation, then you can't change your ranks, because you're rearranging your ranks, rearranging its ranks, and required to either change its formation or adopt a different formation. But it's like, if you can only do closed formation, you can't change to a different one. So therefore, you can't change your ranks in a reform.
Surely not.
No, I know. I don't think
it says to either do that, either to change or adopt a different. Like that's okay. Yeah,
because change its formation must mean that, surely. I don't know, but anyway, like that's what reform is.
Well, I mean,
we understand as surely.
Yeah, because to adopt a different formation, I feel like is the implication there, to change from open order to close order or something, isn't it? But
skirmish to
It'll be more open order to skirmish,
or open to skirmish,
or like,
skirmish to lance formation in the case.
I was going to say, or lance formation back to normal one, blunted.
I never got out of blunted formation, by the way. I just got stuck in blunted, and even if I won the combat, I would still just forget to change out of it.
Yeah. So I feel like, and I'm not saying I don't know this. Well, I don't know all the rules yet by any means. I've only had a game, but I feel like when I'm trying to get my head around these movement things, I'm trying to remember, like, basically say, okay, everything has to move this way unless they have a reason not to, and then that, rather than go the other way, like in 8th, you're sort of used to, like, monsters moving around and just pivoting, and chariots pivoting, and and things like that. And it's like you sort of have to reset all the way back and go, no, everything has to follow this, unless they have a rule that allows them to do something different. And so that's when you start getting into, and let's be honest, we're probably more worried about like monsters here. So I might just look at the monster one, because I don't want to go all night. But so monsters,
heavy chariots, I think, as well, because heavy.
Well, yeah, I was going to jump back to that, because monsters basically straight away. Sorry,
I don't know,
goes back.
It's only like last night yesterday that I was reading this whole thing about what you're about to describe. It blew me away. I was like, what?
Yeah, I mean, it's this is where I think this game has been play tested, and I don't know if some of the worries are as bad as what they think. And so, if dragons and stuff are as big a deal as what people think they are, I think it's all up to us to make sure that everyone knows how to move properly, to make sure that they're actually playing within the rules. So yeah, like a monstrous creature or a behemoth basically gets the lumbering special rule, which this is so funny. So the lumbering, right? You jump. That's basically what heavy chariots have. So you jump back and look at that.
So you have to go look up to heavy chariots.
So now you're in heavy chariots.
I actually assumed lumbering was going to be like a universal special rule or something. Like
it's so weird that they've. Yeah, you would think that. Heavy chariots also have. Heavy chariots also have all the stuff that light chariots have. So I'll just skip over that for the moment. But yeah, lumbering is due to their size. They basically operate like close order, basically. So it's basically confirming what I was saying before. Even if it's included as a single model, it's got to do what close order does, which is all those maneuvers that we just said. So it's
so wheeling,
it's got a wheel, it's got all that shit,
pivoting all over the place.
But they they say at the end here that even though it's the largest single model, it enjoys slightly more maneuverability than a tight formed regiment. Therefore, after moving, these need to be bolded, unless it charged, marched, or fled, it can pivot about its center up to 90 degrees. All right.
Oh,
the funny thing is, so that is massive.
That whole sentence. That is
marched. So flying dragons who go more than 10 or 9 or whatever their fly is, fucking can't do this, So like,
right, unless you pay for a wheel.
Yeah, you got a wheel.
Yeah, you got a wheel.
Got a wheel everywhere.
Wait, so fly? Yeah, right. Because in my head, I keep thinking fly is skirmisher.
Fly doesn't have some other rule, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't.
Andrew looked at it. It's literally just you can go over terrain and other models.
Go over other models and terrain. And
do you want me to just while we're here and talking about it, we should
go. This is great.
So I was reading it up before.
I'm learning.
Literally, it says basically you move just as though you do on the ground.
Yeah. Okay, so a model with this special rule can fly. Models that fly can choose either to move normally on the ground or move by flying. How many inches the model can fly? Various models. Yep, they got the X, blah, blah, blah. So they may move as normal. They may charge, march, maneuver as if moving on the ground, except that they are able to pass freely above other models, units, terrain features without penalty, and they can march whilst within 8 inches of an enemy without first having to make a leadership test. I didn't know that. I didn't look at that, so that's cool.
Nope,
so you can't march block them.
Okay.
May end their movement in terrain, but will suffer its effects. They cannot end their movement on top of impassable or within an inch of a person, another unit, sorry. Models that can fly must begin and end all their movement on the ground. No flying high from 4th edition. A character with this special rule cannot join a unit without this special rule. Unit with that special rule, and vice versa. So, no, you're right. Like it doesn't. So, the other thing is you still have to fucking move like a chariot, basically.
Yeah, that's what it says. Just like if you're on the ground, like you maneuver just as if. 100%.
Yeah.
How do you do that? Because
you'd have to map it out. You'd almost have to like, I'll wheel
How
here.
do you measure this? Yeah. Like the thing about flying is you're holding the model in air and you're just like pulling it, you know, like you can't measure a wheel that easily. Like if you're measuring a wheel over like impassable to like a big terrain piece or a unit,
a bit annoying. Yeah.
I don't know how. I mean, I guess you can estimate it close enough, but
I think you just got to be careful.
A little bit impractical.
People just take these. I've had that with movement before, and especially in tournaments, or you know, and people just get, you know, they say like, "Oh, give them an inch." Man, sometimes people take a mile, eh?
Yeah.
Like I've had people vanguard up and then do a 12-inch move, and then like somehow they've moved like 30 odd inches, and I'm just like, what? It's like,
yeah.
Maybe they're in marching column.
Yeah, just like, just these. I don't know. Some people just get like with their moves, they just get real blasé with their measurements.
Yeah, and usually I'm totally fine most of the time, but I think if we're in an edition where you know, some of these models are very expensive and can do a lot of damage, and I can't kill them.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hold you to this rule because it's so critical. The whole March thing. Suddenly I've got this. Yeah, it's really reducing the flexibility of those units, and I think massively deliberately on the part of the games designers. You know, to try.
But if you're setting up your army to try and counter movement, and then somebody's taking the piss and getting around, you know, if you've got like obviously arcs set up and people are just getting out of your arcs, it's just like, well, hang on, I don't know how you just got out of my arc because I measured that.
Well, remember, like in our game, like I couldn't get my Necrosphinx in a charge. Like I couldn't get him around because I only had that final 90 degrees. I knew you could just move away and you're out of my arc. Like there's nothing where if I could do the old school fly, I could have easily just moved up, turned right around, and you probably it would have been harder for you to get out of it. But
there are some interesting rules with movement, especially with charge. You've got to go like the fastest, like the closest line possible. Yeah, you can't try and get like an advantageous like late wheel in to try and, you know, sometimes like with like war machines, you might try and like line up multiple war machines by like doing like
good point.
A late wheel.
Point. Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, as long as you have to go by the shortest path. At the time that will maximize. Both units in maximum, you know, base to base. That doesn't make you fail the charge effectively. So you don't have to maximize that if you're going to fail it, but you, So that's a really good point though with war machines. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you can't have these shenanigans.
Yeah,
it's really hard to measure like a 90-degree.
Did you just try to do it?
Yeah, I'm trying to do it on like a small
well,
base.
It's not a 90-degree wheel. You don't have to worry about a 90-degree wheel.
No, but like if you have marched, flied march, and then you can't do your pivot at the end.
Oh yes,
but you still want to pull across so that you're looking someone's flank.
Yeah,
you have to pay for a wheel to do that.
Yeah.
And to get 90 degrees, that's like 4 inches of wheeling. If I'm measuring this right, like that is a massive penalty for behemoths and like mad, monstrous characters. Like, holy crap! I need a little protractor, I think, to be able to measure
another
this
tool
stuff.
here.
There will be.
There should. I'm surprised there isn't one that you can just move and it's just digitally just telling you the wheel as you go. Like you just place it on the back base and move it.
Oh, we need it. We need it for the charge measuring.
Yeah.
We need it for accurately measuring wheels.
Me being a Tomb King person, right? I read this and I went, okay, they're more maneuverable, 90 degrees. Okay, so look, I'll just better check light chariots come in here. Where the fuck's my 90 degrees? I'm like, what the what the hell?
You'd be open order, but
you're on top of this.
Connecting the dots.
So in this case, they chose to say, well, look, let's be honest. All the light chariots in the army books all have open order and maybe skirmish, but they all have open order. It's like, fucking hell. So it's like, you got to like piece together, my troop type, this, that, and that, and then that's what I actually get. So, and the difference being I get the pivot at end even if pivot at end if no march. So it's the same rule, isn't it? I think that one is. So if we go to open order, would that be in here or would that be in the special rules? I can't remember. No, highly maneuverable. Here it is. Yeah. So open order.
Yeah, you found
they get
that.
a quick time after moving,
Oh,
unless
God.
it charged, marched, or fled. They can do the 90 degrees. So effectively, that
good. So
quick
it's the same
turn
rule.
is the
Thank
same
goodness.
rule.
So it's at least standardized. Yeah.
Yeah.
So light chariots have it, but it's not written in the light chariots. It's because it just
written
happened to
in
be.
open order.
You
Because
hope that my light
charts don't
chariot.
have it. They just assume you have open order.
Yeah.
You
Right?
need to go digging through the big blue tomb.
Is this the most complex rule set for Warhammer Fantasy that's ever
Maybe.
been cooked up?
You're just playing a game. You just open up this big dusty book.
And then, the open order, close order stuff is actually another level of complexity.
Yeah, it is.
On top of that we've never had to deal with before.
The fact that closed order and open order look the same on the battlefield too, which I don't think there's any units that can jump between them. Is that right? I think they're different, but
as in during a game.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any dual ones.
I don't think so.
I haven't looked very closely, to be quite honest.
And then the other thing then that I thought, well, what's the other types of things that probably are related to this? And that was fast cav as a rule. Because I thought that surely they have something different.
I've been meaning to look up what fast cav actually is.
And they have so what makes them different?
Because
they'd be open order as well.
Or skirmishes.
We should look at that too. So they basically can do the quick turn, even if it marched. So basically, the quick turn is at the end of the move if you didn't march, but a fast cav can do that at the end of the move, but they can march. So that's what.
But they don't have unlimited reforms, do they?
Oh, so that's
all
they get.
So you can't do silly little.
Wow.
Most fast cav are going to be skirmisher. So,
in which case, the quick turn doesn't matter. I mean, this rule, this fast cav rule, is only relevant for things in open order, though, isn't it?
Maybe.
So if you skirmish anyway, then you don't drive any benefit.
Yeah.
So then skirmishers, obviously, if you're in skirmish ones, you basically can. They all individually move, and I think they just can do everything. It says somewhere facing line of sight. I mean, I don't want to go through all. Maybe skirmish is a whole different topic, but it's pretty sure here it is. Does not turn wheel or otherwise maneuver. Instead, they can reform to a different formation. Obviously, instead, each model is free to move in any direction. So you'll probably find a bunch of fast cav are skirmishers. So in that case, it doesn't matter about the whole quick turn thing. But
you might have to pay for it, but
so.
I was going to say, mounted yeomen, are they skirmishers?
They are. Yeah, they're skirmishers. They also have the fast cav rule, I'm pretty sure.
Do you have to pay for the skirmish? Or it comes free?
No, it comes free. It comes free.
That's good.
I think they're just, the skirmishers straight up. So, actually, we'll double check. I'll pull up there. I'll find there to go. And so the only time you'll see fast cav actually make any value is when they're open order. That's crazy. They've got the fast cav special rule. They've got open order and skirmishes. So you've got the option to either have them as skirmishes or open order fast cav.
Yeah, but if someone does that and does it, they're open order and they don't say they're skirmishers. If they're ranked up and they haven't told you that they're skirmishers, then technically
they're open order
can't
by
do all
default,
those.
They're not
they
skirmishers.
That's what I'm saying. Like they can do. But I guess when you're doing skirmish, can you still bring them close if you want? You know what I mean? Like to block line of sight and stuff.
I don't think so. Because you got to have an intervening model.
I don't think there's a minimum space between them, is there?
I thought it was 1 inch apart. I thought they had to be 1 inch apart.
I thought 1 inch
within
was the
1 inch. So like, there's nothing stopping me putting them all together, isn't there?
Yeah,
blocking line of sight and then going, well, they're in skirmish. But it's funny because if that's the case, you would really want to make sure that you are in skirmish, because if you're in open order, then you can't. You still have to do all that maneuvering. You just get that pivot at the end, which is totally different fast cav than what it used to be.
So there's no more. There's no unlimited free reform units at all. Like it's you're either in skirmish. Or you're open order fast.
There might be other rules that we haven't got to, because I only just started playing around with this as I was chatting to someone else, just going, okay, I have to get my head around all this.
No, but I mean, just like fast cav in general, like it's been utterly gutted. You know, like that's such a weak rule. Now, the other thing I was going to mention as well. So the other rules that Mounted Yeomen have, because I might as well stick with the theme. They've also got reserve move.
Oh
now,
yep.
How does that plug into the reforming?
I think it's just a normal move, isn't it? Reserve. Obviously, you can't.
Can you?
No, you can.
Pivot?
Sorry, March.
Like an open
you
order
can't,
pivot.
You can't because you got to shoot. That's right. Hang on, reserve. Sorry, what was that?
Just as a normal move.
Yeah, sorry, it's
just
charge, march, or fled. Yeah.
But generally, can you pivot at the end of a normal move if you're open order?
Oh, yes, you've open order. Yes, so you would get 2 pivots technically because your first move is in your movement phase, and you would get a pivot at the end, and you didn't march, so you can do it, and then you'd shoot, and then you'd move again, and you'd get another pivot.
Right. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Right. So you just would never march. Yeah. You would just do the normal move, shoot, reserve move,
which
pivot,
ironically, it's sort of totally a different rule, different topic as well. But I think there's some stand and shoot, or what is it, move or shoot units that can get reserve move, or maybe it's through magic, which is cool because then you don't move in your movement phase, but you shoot and then you move. You do a reserve move.
That is cool.
Sorry,
so say you got like standard. What the dwarfs would have it when they like a thunder, like a gun that you can't move and shoot. Is that right?
Yeah, they got thunderous, so it's like -2.
Oh, okay, but some weapons you can't move and shoot. But if you can give them reserve move, which you can with some magic items and stuff, you can now not move in your movement phase, do a shoot, but maybe you can't shoot because you're out of range. So in your shooting phase, you move, you do a reserve move, and then in your next turn, you don't move, you shoot in your shooting phase, and then you move. So you're still moving and shooting, you're just doing it in the wrong order.
The reverse order.
Yeah, but then you are effectively moving and shooting with no penalty. Because you didn't move in the movement phase.
Interesting.
Which is pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, because reserve moves in the shooting phase. Yeah. That is good. That's really good.
And you'd moved last turn anyway. It just happened to be in the movement phase. So you didn't move that turn, so therefore you wouldn't get a penalty.
No penalty. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I think there's some little strategy there, which is pretty cool, which would be pretty funny if you didn't pick up on it. You basically have turned behind, though, so your movement might be not that useful. I don't know, but just be funny.
Yeah.
But that's what reserve move. Reserve move's awesome. It's so cool. Well, I'm looking through my Tomb King thing, brain, because the chariots and the skirmishing archers all have reserve move. So you're basically able to march effectively because you're just moving twice, but you're not marching, but you get to march effectively, which is pretty cool.
Well, marching's so hard now with Undead. Like, you need to get that bloody spell off, and it's like, I don't know, because you got to be within like close to units, so it makes it really hard. You got to kind of build into it just to get a march.
Yeah, that's I mean, Tomb King can't. We don't have that spell, do we? No, we just have that My Will Be Done, which gives you a bit of extra movement.
Yeah,
I think we got one.
Hellish Figure, I think, gives you a reserve move within the your leadership bubble.
But it's Hellish Figure is one of your SIG spells, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
the vamps. Yeah. But anyway, that's I think that's a cool topic for the like rules people will get wrong or rules we get wrong, just like trying to understand that movement. And I just think it's pretty critical to make sure those big monsters are doing it right, because that's how you potentially get them in the wrong spot or keep them in the wrong spot, from getting to you all the time.
It's been very eye-opening, actually.
While we're on the rules, can I ask a rule?
It's incredible,
because I'm trying to find this. So if you're close order, do you get the +1 to combat because you're in combat formation or whatever it is?
You do, but you need 2 models. Chris was talking about that today.
Yeah, I saw that.
Because I think we were counting close. Remember, we were trying to find that, Andrew, and like we were adding close order on. In our game, technically, I think I might have counted my Necrosphinx are having it in that combat that we only just beat you by and crumbled you to a man. Now, technically, I don't think I would have got it.
Yeah, I think people have been doing this wrong across the board. I don't think it's just us.
A unit in close order consists of 2 or more models that are arranged in base contact with each other. So even though a lot of these monsters and stuff have close order, I think everything has to have an order. So they give them close order because that's how they, they move
for their
in
movement.
this.
Yeah.
But they don't get +1, which I think I've seen a lot of battle reports as well. And we did it probably where you add +1 because you're close order.
I thought there was a rule that certain monsters that they still are eligible for it.
Oh, mate,
something like that.
Doesn't surprise me. It's
I
probably
can't
written
find
in
it
the
now.
scenario section. It's probably in the fucking, I don't know, second magic item rule.
Because it's combat order. Isn't it? You got to be within combat order. So you got to be in combat order. You got to be a close order unit.
Oh, this one here. Sorry.
Yeah, to claim the +1 bonus for combat res.
Yeah.
But
to be in close order, a unit in close order consists of 2 or more models.
Yeah.
So a monster dragon by itself can't be in close order, can it?
Wow. I would have thought that's a bit strange that you just randomly get a +1 just to be a character a model with close order. Just a single model I'm talking about.
Yeah, so you're saying you should get it?
No, I'm saying it'd be strange. It's strange.
Yeah.
Just to get it.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of benefits for being.
Yeah, it should be technically a ranked unit, and gets because they're big. Yeah.
And there's drawbacks for being in that, that style of unit. That's probably why they gave it to them, to have more of that ranked up unit, obviously.
Yeah, I think you're right. That would make sense. My feeling, I feel like there's a rule somewhere that says they can get it, but I feel like they shouldn't. I agree. Like they don't need any more advantages given to them.
I'd love the listeners to point this out if they know where that rule is.
We will. Someone will tell us if we've missed it.
I'm with Columba. I agree that it's not. I think we've been doing it wrong for those singular models, and it's not something for a single model. It's something for a ranked up unit of 2 or more, like you said.
Yeah. The other one that I've got here, they're not really rules. They're just little things to think about or look out that I think people miss is, and like in the magic spells, a lot of them, some of them only go to the end of the turn, and then some go to the start of your next strategy phase, which I think how it's written, it seems very similar, but they're totally different. Do you know what I mean? Which I think you guys all know that, but I would imagine there'd be people who miss that and just assume that when I cast that hex or whatever, it lasts till my next magic phase type thing. You know what I mean? Like, because it's so ingrained in, all our editions probably, whereas now there's a few of these spells which only go to your end of your turn, so if it's a buff or a hex, it's only useful for that combat really, and then their turn, it's gone,
Yeah.
So that's, you got to really read the fine print on the spell, because it's easily missed because you're just used to going, oh, hex, put it down, and my next strategy phase, I'll choose to cast it again or not,
Yeah, that is poor wording again. I think they could have done that, worded those sort of spells better.
Yeah, because doesn't it say something like start of turn or next start of turn phase or something like that? Like it looks so, or end of, I can't remember. Yeah, however it's worded, you definitely miss it. Like I missed a few of them when I was reading them first, and I went, oh, hang on, no, it's different.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Is there any other ones, or we talked about rules enough? I've got others I might talk on the YouTube stuff, but I think they were the ones that were interesting, I thought, on the podcast to start digging in. I'm just starting to get to that point, and maybe we'll do this more in the future as I go more in depth into one of these. Like, because I reckon even the characters, the whole character section and what characters can do and not do and stuff, I think, you really have to read those sections multiple times to sort of get them in your head. Because there's so many things, just like down to lone characters and how it worked. Yeah, the formations and when they can move in combat or not, and all those type of things. I think they're easily missed. The troop type, like for example, I mean, here's an example. When does a lone character near a unit get that whole cover? Like you can't target them versus And it depends on whether or not the unit they're around is a skirmisher or not, doing that type of thing.
Yeah, is it swarms as well? Things like that.
Maybe.
I think there's a few things where you can't claim that.
Yeah, it's probably on that. I don't even know what that'd be in the shooting section, wouldn't it? Can't remember where it would be. Or is it in the character? No, it'd be in the character. See, this thing, it's just it's hard to.
It is. It's all over the shop.
Yeah. Oh no, there it is. Targeting lone characters. Yeah. So, like, I mean, effectively, for those listening, if you're not sure, like lone characters can't be targeted if they're within 3 inches of a friendly unit that of the same troop type, and that's the big people. There's even been some podcasts that are getting confused on that, although they do correct themselves as they're going, not understanding that you got that parent, structure: infantry, cav, monster, war machine, chariot, but then you got the subtype, and so if your character's the same, he can claim if he's next to a unit within 3 that's the same type. So if he's on a monstrous cav, so it's the general on a demigriff, he can be next to a unit of knights, and you can't target him because they're both cav. It's not the same subtype. Do you know what I mean? So you can do that. However, if that unit you're next to is a skirmishing formation, that has to be the exact subtype. So you can't have.
That's so subtle.
So this is and just to make it even worse, I did this wrong in our game. This is just an example in my army list. The Tomb Kings, the horse archers are light cav, but the mount. If you put a character on a horse, the mount type is a heavy cav. So if I put a Hierophant or whatever on not Hierophant, but a Leech Priest on a horse for my Tomb Kings, he can't get that 3 inches because they're skirmishing. You can target him if he's within 3 inches of those dudes, that how I was hanging around next to those Skelly archers. You can target him because he's heavy cav, they're light cav, and they're skirmishing. So that's another one and it's not even that the rule is weird. It's just that you have to really make sure when you're reading your armies, what types they are, because.
But if you went into a close sort of formation, open order formation.
No, if I went to an open formation, not skirmisher, then I could do it. Exactly. But then I couldn't move.
Oh my
god. It's almost like the first big tournaments need to go to like 1,200 points because there's going to be so many discussions.
What's that movie where there's like a dream within a dream and a dream?
I don't know. But yeah.
Inception.
Is it? Yeah.
It's all those different layers. It just gets down. It's
So I don't know. Is this more new? This feels more nuanced. It has to be than the old ones, just because there's more. Like I said, there's more of those layers of formation, troop type, special rules. What am I missing? Well, maybe those type of things. Like they all coalesce up to what the current rule is at the time for whatever you're in, and then some of those are dynamic and can change. And therefore, it's I think it's still. I don't think it's going to be overly confusing. I think you'll get it, and it won't be too hard.
I think we'll get there. It's just taking a while to.
Yeah,
we've only played one game each, and we've only just got the books in the last 24 hours. So
that's right. Yeah,
we just want to know.
It's just the expert. But it's fun to try and
I actually quite like the intricacies. I think it's actually a really cool thing. I'm not sure.
You might have some bad feel moments if you're playing an inexperienced person, and that you sort of go, you can't do that, or I could really kill you here because you can't.
Oh, sorry, I can target your wizard because your cav is in a skirmish formation, and therefore she can't have cover because she's on a barded Bretonnian horse.
Exactly. So I think there's a few little things that might crop up in games, but I guess that happens all the time. But
I think there could be some more feel bad moments like that. Yeah.
That just comes down to the don't be a dick. That's where you're like, did you not know that?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Please change your formation if that's what you want to do. I think that's what it comes down to. Some of these new players, it's just, I think people need to start taking their competitive hat off and just that just try and embrace and just try and get the community growing. Like, just help people out a bit. Like, there's nothing worse than coming into, your first game and you get absolutely owned, sort of thing. Like, it's not a good introduction, really, is it, to the game?
Oh, no, hell no. No. I think, I guess I don't play. I don't know. I don't reckon we've got a massive competitive scene. I know some people do play in competitive scenes where even their friends are all very competitive. I just don't like. Maybe that's why I'm not playing on the top tables. But it's just so I probably haven't ran into that. And I know when I first played 8th at Legions for Castle, so it was heaps. I had good opponents, and they knew way more than me. I was dumb, didn't know what I was doing. But so it's been pretty good. Hopefully, it's the same.
Yeah. I'm still just flabbergasted at the Behemoth maneuvering rules, the monster maneuvering rules. Like, that's actually a massive change, and I had no idea.
Yeah, get you thinking.
Really got me thinking. It sounds like almost have to standardize like the measurement for 50 mil base, how much you have to pay for a 90-degree turn at the end of your 90-degree wheel at the end of your march move. Like.
Oh no, it's a 90-degree pivot.
Yeah, but not if you march.
Oh, so sorry, man. Yeah, keep going. I know. I knew exactly what you're doing, and I still get no, totally. Yeah,
it's not. You're not going 18-inch fly. You're doing a 15-inch fly and then a 3 or 4-inch wheel.
Yeah, actually, so you could probably correct this. I heard somewhere, and maybe it was on. Yeah, it was on. It was on the Charm. This like Old World Charm, the new podcast that Adam Camilleri does. It was one of their earlier episodes. They were talking about making sure people measured the lance. When you do a wheel, it's the longest that someone's moved. And with long things like a lance and things, it's not always the longest is always sometimes at the back. But then when you look at the rules for measuring, it does say measures from that second row, like rank. So I don't know where they got that from, or maybe I'm getting it wrong. Like, I don't know. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
I would.
You would just measure the wheel from the second rank, wouldn't you? And just
it's like quite clear when it's when in a unit less formation wheels, its movement is measured from the second rank.
Yeah, that's pretty clear.
All other movement is measured from the model, the front of the formation. Like that's pretty black and white.
So then when you go and look at, so they might have just got it wrong. Maybe they corrected it, but I did think, well, then maybe I should look at maneuvers and see how is there anything in the wheel where they talk about when a unit wheels, every model counts having moved as far as the outside model. Once the wheel is complete, you may use any movement the unit has remaining. But what's the outside model? Are they always saying it's the outside model on the rank that you're measuring, or the outside model, like that's the furthest, like, in a lance formation that could be the arse end guy is moving a lot further. Because
I still reckon it's a specialist. It's specialist formation, which has got a specialist move.
Yeah, I feel like it supersedes what's in the rule book.
Agreed.
You measure it in the second rank. That's it.
Yep.
Yeah, cool. Well, that's how I would do it for sure. But I was like, man, that would get really catchy if it wasn't that. Because
it would be very impractical to ever run that.
Yeah, you'd never be able to turn. Cool. Okay, we're in agreement there. Anyway, is there any other rulesy stuff that you want to cover now, or do you want to wrap this one up, or what do you want to do? Do we get through everything? Put it in box, yeah. Like it.
We'll wrap it. We'll wrap it in the box.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, it's almost been.
Yeah, probably.
I was like, I've got some stuff to talk about, scenarios and stuff, but I probably need to talk about it today. Like,
we could catch up on that one and the next one. That looks interesting because you start. I haven't really looked at them at all. I think I probably skimmed them, but I haven't read them.
Well, I was going to talk a bit about. I mean, I was like, because I'm doing the slow grow this weekend, so I was going to talk about the scenario that I've set up for some of those games, and then leading from that into the scenarios in the books and that type of thing as well.
Maybe cover it next week, and you would have done them then, and then you can tell us.
As
what
part
you
of
did
that,
tell us how it went and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
because I have looked at the scenarios in the book, and I'm kind of like, I wish there was a bit more going on there. But I think it'd be a good topic for next week.
Yeah,
scenarios in general, because it's such an important part of the game.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, what is the scenario? What's the objective? And how you're approaching that with your army, not just trying to kill the other army every game.
The old battle.
What do you think about? Well, maybe I'll keep that. I'll have to remember to bring it up next week, but hopefully I will. Yeah, cool. Okay. Well, we'll wrap it up then, guys. So thanks for listening to another Old World Fanatics, or watching if you're watching us on YouTube, which a lot of people do as well. But if you do like our weekly ramblings and you haven't yet subscribed, I might even work out a better way to put the little subscribe alert bell thing on top of this video on YouTube at least. But it also, even if you're a podcast listener, would love a subscribe on YouTube, even if you don't generally hang there, and vice versa. If you're a YouTube listener, go to, Apple Podcasts, whatever, and just look us up. Give us a rating, and it helps us move up the ranks there a little bit. Really appreciate all that. But yeah, there's a few things we chatted about today that we would love feedback on. Anything else you want to say, or we'll just wrap it up?
No, sounds all good. Oh, one last thing I was saying. One last thing, which I wanted to say at the top, but I kind of ran out of opportunity to do it. I have really enjoyed having an evening chatting with you guys. Like, how I want to say this is
a thank you.
I was missing CanCon.
Yeah.
It was so nice, like talking Warhammer for like 4 hours every night for like a whole weekend.
Yeah, it was good.
And it's like, I miss that. CanCon is so unique, isn't it? Like, there's no other weekend like it. Now you guys have been, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like you're just surrounded by Warhammer for a whole bloody week.
Oh no, it's there was someone put up a meme. I'll try to find it. I don't know if it was on the Facebook one or whatever, but it was. I know it was an Instagram one, and it was just like it had. I can't remember the actor's name, but he's basically just like he said. He basically says he's in a really uncomfortable position, and he's like, "So, do you like the weather?" or something like that. He's like, It's covered with like when you're actually having a discussion with someone who doesn't know anything about Warhammer, like it's like nothing to talk about. It's like Yeah. Do you like the weather? Well, it's probably a totally wrong quote. People are probably ripping into me there, but yeah, it's funny. I'll let you guys get back to it, and we'll get this published out there, and see us on the YouTube this week. And if not, we'll chat next week.
All right.
See you guys.
Bye. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Andrew's man. He wants the shed. He wants to rent the shed and set up the studio.
Yeah.
Shut up the studio.
There must be some shitty shed out of Carrington or something.
Oh yeah, there'll be lots of shitty sheds.
Yeah, there'll be a drug den next door.